Progressives love to take over an institution and, whilst retaining the outward appearance, change the content. And this is obvious in politics. In the UK, the Conservative Party concerns nothing. The Labour Party is indifferent to the real concerns of working people, and the Liberal Democrats are anything but liberal. Progressives have swept all before them. In education, politics, the media, they are the establishment. This is becoming true also for the church. In the words of Marie Alford Harkey, they want to liberate God from the closet of traditional Christian thought. God is to be outed. The theological vandals, like the secular counterparts, are well in the way to complete success. Progressives argue that the church must adapt to an increasingly secular world, proclaim a faith acceptable to modern men and women, and the result? The steady erosion of distinctively Christian theological and moral positions. This is especially true in the area of sexual morality. For progressives, secular and Christian are obsessed with sex. Sexual license seems to be the lodestar. Conformity with the spirit of the times leads to a steady surrender of a gradually eroding core set of beliefs until only the outward appearance of Christianity remains. An intricately decorated eggshell, empty of content. It's difficult to say a religion exists when its adherents surrender its positions to please its critics. Believers who once held to strong, distinctive faith, willing to take on all comers in the battle for the minds and souls of men and women, have morphed into a bunch of hand-wringing, whinging wimps. The aims of progressive Christians, whilst radical, are neither new nor progressive. For 2,000 years the church has rejected those who want Christianity to accommodate to the social establishment. Progressive Christians, in their desire to conform to prevailing culture, fail to learn from history. The church is at its weakest when it accommodates itself to the establishment, and at its strongest and most useful to society when it stands against the establishment. Wilberforce, Clarkson, Sharp and the others campaigned against slavery on biblical grounds. They stood against the political, cultural, business, economic and ecclesiastical establishment of the day. They were derided, opposed and hindered. But year after year they worked, organised, studied, recruited and eventually won. These counter-cultural evangelicals changed the course of the mightiest empire of its day for the better. Not by accommodating to the views of society, but by opposing the prevailing orthodoxy in society. In the 1930s in Germany, the majority of the church went along with the prevailing culture. They became German Christians. Their cry was the same as that of today's progressives. The church must reflect the society in which it lives. Thankfully, Christians like Barth, Bonhoeffer, Niemöller and Bishop Worm had the clarity of vision to realise that it was the calling of the church to speak to society, not to echo society. The church must remain the church. That was their cry as they stood against the establishment of their day. More recently, Wolfhart Pannenberg acknowledged at the time of his death last year as the world's leading theologian and an authority on Christianity and secularism, wrote on the subject of one of the shibboleths of progressives, same-sex marriage. Here lies the boundary of a Christian church that allows itself to be bound by the authority of Scripture. Those who urge the church to change the norm of its teaching must know that they are promoting schism. If a church were to let itself be pushed to the point where it ceased to treat homosexual activity as a departure from the biblical norm, and recognised homosexual unions as a personal partnership of love equivalent to marriage, such a church would stand no longer on biblical ground, but against the unequivocal witness of Scripture. A church that took this step would cease to be the one holy, Catholic and Apostolic Church. When we abandon Scripture, we abandon the Church. The Church of Scotland seems likely to validate same-sex marriage. Will the body which remains actually be a church?